Hello, welcome back to the chaos that is Shani and books. Today I am going to be going over my reading goals, the ones that I had from last year and the ones that I am planning to hopefully achieve for this year. So let's just get straight into it. I'm going to read from my reading journal from last year because that's where I wrote down most of the goals, and then I did put out a goals video, and I'm pretty sure I said some goals at the end of that video, but those are not written in my journal, so perhaps I didn't complete those, but let's just see. Okay, so let's talk about reading goals for 2024. So firstly, my Goodreads reading goal that I have set for the new year is 50 books, which I did complete in 2024. I completed this on July 16, and then I did end up almost doubling it. I ended up with 94 books at the end of the year. So goal number 2 is to read 10 non-fiction books. Even though I didn't complete it last year, I'm adding it for this year. And I think I read 4. This is also the second year in a row that I have failed this non-fiction goal that I've set for myself. So we'll discuss it when I talk about my goals for this coming year. But spoiler alert, we're getting rid of that goal. Watch me read like 20 non-fictions now that I've gotten rid of that one. But anyway, goal number 3 is to read 10 Australian books. Same again. This one I also failed by only 1. I was at 9 out of 10. I'm pretty sure if I've added up correctly. Number 4 is to read 10 2024 releases. And this one was a check because I completed this on the 24th of May and I've already forgotten my stats. But okay, I did end up with 37 new releases in the year. So exceeded that one. Goal number 5 is to read 10 book club / buddy reads. And book clubs that weren't my own book club, which thankfully, because I did terrible at hosting my own book club this year. But again, I did complete this one. Goal number 6, same as always, complete the buzzword reading challenge, which was a check. In the end, some of the books that I read were not in the allocated month that they were for, but overall I did end up completing this challenge. I will go over all of the books that I read for the buzzword reading challenge. I'm not going to hold them all up because some of them, most of them were from the library, so I don't even have copies. So January, the word or words were there, and there, and I read There by Tommy Orange. February was Positive Happy Words and I read Lunar Love. March was Character Names and I read Mika in Real Life. April was Nature Words and I read Aquacorn Cove. May, the word was Every, and I read Every Time I Go on Vacation Someone Dies, and I didn't read this during May, but I did read it throughout the year. June, the theme was Repeating Words. I read XOXO by Axio, which I didn't end up completing just because it's young adult and I don't know, I made it like over halfway through, so I'm just counting it anyway. The July theme was Measurement Words, and I read, not during July, but overall, I read That Time I Got Drunk and Saved a Demon, because time is a measurement. August buzzword was Like, and I read Woke Up Like This. September's word was senses, so I read What You Are Looking For Is in the Library. October was relationships, and I read My Sister the Serial Killer. November was only, and I read Always Only You. And then December was holiday season words, and I read Only Santa's in the Building. So that is my buzzword complete. Goal number 7. Same as before, mostly purchase from small businesses if I can, which I'm just going to say this was a fail because I wasn't really purchasing books at all. I mostly used my library during the year. And then when I did purchase a book, it was generally from Kmart. So I'm going to say fail for that one. Goal number 8, a new goal. Like I said, I started reviewing ARCs last year. So this year I want to get my NetGalley rating at 80% and try and have it around 80% for the entire year, which I did first complete during March, the 1st of March, exactly. And I did drop down again once I'd requested more books, but then for the remainder of the year, it hovered around 80%. So check for that one. Goal number 9 is to write and illustrate a children's book, which I am going to check this one off. I remember in my video I was hesitant about saying this goal, but I did do some writing courses during the year. The first one that I did was a children's book writing course, and so for some of the assignments that I had to submit for that one, I did have to write out a few children's book manuscripts. The course didn't include illustration, and in fact they advised people against illustrating their own books as well. So I didn't illustrate it. I just did like rough drawings for some of the characters. But I'm going to say that's complete because I have like multiple books now written out and reviewed by someone who worked for many, many years at the big publishers reviewing manuscripts, and I really trust their opinion. So that's a success. And then goal number 10 is similar to that, to begin writing a novel, which I didn't do. But after I did the children's picture book writing course, I did start another writing course that was for adult books. And I haven't actually written a book, but I started the course. I feel like I can check that one off. So those were just the goals that I wrote in my journal, but I'm pretty sure I had some at the end of that video that I mentioned. So now I need to find the video and review what those were before I go on to my goals for the following year. Oh, before I do that, I did have a few reading challenges as well as Buzzword Readathon. That's right. Okay, the A to Z challenge, I did not complete. Last time, I think I was one letter off. So I was yeah, I'm going to do it in 2024. And I was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters off. I didn't do K, U, V, X, or Z. But I don't know, I'll put up a graphic maybe of some of the books that I did read for the letters. I mean, it's not really that exciting. And I'll also go through the countries that I read from in 2024. I could have probably put this in my stats video, but I'm putting it here. I do have a page in my journal where I mark down the countries that books are set. I try and do it where the book is set and not the author's ethnicity or where they are from, because I'm trying to read books set there. And I think I did want to read from more countries than the previous year, which I definitely did do. I have 17 countries, I think. And even if only a section of the book was in that country, I still counted it. So I'll go over them now. So I have the book Black Cake, which I'm counting for Jamaica. I have the book In the Dream House, which I'm counting for Cuba, even though it was only a couple of chapters at the end of that book, but I'm still counting it. I have There, which is set in the US. I have The Catch, which is set in Canada. I have Love Justine, set in Australia. Greta and Valden, set in New Zealand. The manga My Brother's Husband is set in Japan. Sweet Hand, which I am putting down for Trinidad. XOXO, which I have for South Korea. More Than a Best Friend, which is for the UK. Every Time I Go on Vacation, Someone Dies for Italy. My Sister the Serial Killer for Nigeria. Someone in the Attic for Ireland. Minor Detail for Palestine. Lavash at First Sight, I'm counting for Armenia, even though it's not set there, but the whole book talks so much about Armenian culture and food that I just want to count it, because the whole book was really talking about that. The Enchanted Hacienda for Mexico, and The Bandit Queens for India. So that is 17 countries, and I do have a goal around countries for this year. But again, hang on, I'm jumping ahead of myself. Other goals that I guess pertain to this part of the internet, but I finally got my booktube channel monetized. It was actually approved on Christmas Day. And if you're not familiar with how the monetization works, you have to reach $100 of ad revenue before you can actually get the payout. So my goal for the year is to actually reach that $100 threshold to get a payout from YouTube. I think it will take me quite a while, because obviously my channel doesn't get that many views, so I think it will probably take me a while to get to the $100 mark. But even if it takes me until December to get there, it's $100 that I didn't already have, and it's something that I'm doing booktube anyway for free as a hobby. Okay, it's funny hearing me talk about that now. I did get my monetization approved, like I said, on Christmas Day, and then it was a couple of before Christmas of 2024 that I ended up getting my very first payout. I barely posted in 2024, so I feel like I probably could have gotten it out earlier. And then I think I reached the threshold sometime during November, and then I don't know, the way the cutout works, it cuts off at the end of November and then you don't get paid until the end of the following month. So I did reach my $100 payout in December, just like I thought. All right, let's see what else I said. And my goal for my channel is pretty much to try and be consistent. I would like to publish more videos than I had in the previous year. I think in the entire year, I published, 50 videos. So I would like to at least get 52 videos out in 2024, because that equals 1 per week. This was a big fail. Like I said, I barely posted during the year. I know I did not post 52, that's for sure. Okay, I posted 26 videos, which is exactly half of what I actually wanted to post. Okay, so that one was a fail. Okay, the rest of that I just spoke about how I wanted to try and edit my videos better, but considering I was barely posting videos, that I guess I also couldn't have edited lots of videos. So let's get into my goals for this year, because I had a lot of failures for last year, but that's last year. We're leaving that in the past. So let me go into my journal and read you the 10 goals that I wrote down, and then I have 5 extra goals that I did not write down that are kind of reading goals and kind of just extra life stuff. So number 1, my Goodreads goal last year, as I just said. I set it to 50 and I did reach that quite early and surpass it quite a lot. So this year I'm being ambitious and I've set my Goodreads goal to 75 books. So hopefully I can read 75 books in the year. I feel like I can, just depending on whether or not I get into a giant slump again. Goal number 2. I'm upping my goal for how many new releases I want to read. So my second goal is going to be to read 30 2025 releases. Last year, I just set it to 10 new releases. This year, I am going for 30. I did read, like I said, 37 new releases last year. So if I do the same this year, then I should be good. I think I can reach 30. Goal number 3 is, even though I failed it last year, to read 10 Aussie books. I was only one off, so I need to try harder to read books by Australian authors. I think it's just hard because on booktube, a lot of the US creators that I follow are talking about books that are being published in the US, so I just automatically pick those up. And like on Goodreads, all of those books that make the Goodreads Choice Awards that are like really popular online, again, are by US authors. And I always forget about my Aussie books, so that needs to happen this year. Because I've gotten rid of the nonfiction goal for this year, I have added in goals for different genres. So goal number 4 is to read 10 translated books. I did start reading some translated books last year and I was really enjoying it. So I have a goal this year to read 10 translated books. I'm a little bit nervous about this one, but goal number 5 is to read 10 middle grade books. Again, I am a little bit nervous about this one, but I do want to try and get back into middle grade. I have a lot that I have loved, but one of the courses that I would like to do next is a middle grade writing course. I just feel like that would be fun. So I want to read some middle grade first so that I have a better grasp on that age range. Goal number 6 is to read 5 historical fiction books. Didn't make this 10 because I thought I would fail. 5 I think is more reasonable. I don't read a lot of historical fiction, but I feel like a lot of the time when I do read it, I really, really enjoy it. So I'm going to set the goal to read 5 historical fiction, but depending on how I go by the end of the year, if it is like the subgenre, then I might count it. I do have a book that I'm planning on reading this month that I think the main genre is horror, but I feel like historical fiction is a subgenre. So depending on how I go with this goal, I might count those type of books for it. See, goal number 7 is to read books set in 20 different countries. So like I had gone over before, I had books from 17 different countries last year, which was an improvement from the previous year. And this year I want to get to 20 different countries, which I feel like if I try harder, I will be able to do, because last year I didn't really focus on that one very much. Goal number 8 is to complete both buzzword challenges. This year, Kayla has got 2 different ones. So usually it's just the buzzword reading challenge where there's a word or a set of words that you need to read a book with that in the title each month. But this year she also has a cover version, which I'm really excited about. So I want to try and complete both of those challenges. Goal number 9 is about my NetGalley rating. So obviously last year my goal was to get it to 80%. This year my goal is to get it to 100%. So I want to have every single book that I have requested on there and been approved for reviewed and read. Obviously it's not going to stay at 100 the whole entire year, because at some point I'm sure I will request something, and if I get approved it will automatically go back down because I will have one book to read. But I want to have it hovering at 100%. So that's my 9th goal. And then goal number 10, if you saw my stats video, you will know that my most read genre by a mile was romance for last year, which is terrible because I barely liked any of the romance that I was reading, and barely any romances made it into my top books of the year for how many that I read. So this year, goal number 10 is going to be to have romance not be my most read genre of the year. I do not want romance to be my top genre this year. So basically my goal is to read less romance, which is hilarious because I feel like most times when you see people's goals, their goals are to read more books. And here I am saying I want to read less books, but I do not want romance to be my top genre this year. So those are all the goals that I wrote down in my reading journal. I have 5 extra goals to share with you. So goal number 1, which again could be a mistake considering how last year went, but I would like to post 50 videos this year. Considering last year I only posted 26, let's get back on track and get 50 videos this year. My second extra goal is going to be, again, along the same lines as last year, but I would like to earn enough in my YouTube AdSense to upgrade my camera. I've only had one payout. Like I've said, I've only just reached the threshold to get my very first payout. But I feel like if I post consistently, then I should be able to perhaps reach this goal. The camera that I'm using is very old. I think I've personally owned this for over 10 years, and I was trying to look up stuff about it recently, and I saw that it was originally released in 2011. So it's a very old camera, and I feel like it would make my filming life easier if I had a different camera. It's a DSLR, so I feel like it's more used for photos, although it was like really popular for YouTubers back in the day. But 2023, I filmed my entire Best Books of the Year video out of focus, and I was so mad when I reviewed the footage, but I was not going to refilm the whole entire thing, so I ended up just posting it all blurry. And then for 2024, a section of my Best Books of the Year video, it was like slightly overexposed, so I feel like it would just make my life easier if I had a camera that just ran a bit better for like YouTube vlogging. And I do have a couple of cameras in mind. I have one like a more budget, just point and shoot version that I feel like it will be easier to earn out enough to buy it. And then I have one that, if in an ideal world, I would like, because like I said, I'm using a DSLR now, so I feel like maybe I don't need a full frame camera because I'm not that tech savvy, but yeah, I do have two different versions that I would like to try and reach. Number 3 is just to continue illustrating. I know I did say that they did sometimes advise you not to illustrate and write a pictures book if you're submitting it to publishers, but I don't know if I will submit to publishers or if I will just keep it for myself and my son and get a copy printed off. So I do want to finish illustrating a book, whether I'm going to submit it to someone or not. Goal number 4 is to start writing a novel. Again, this is something that I don't know if I'm going to ever like submit to anyone. This could just be for me. And then my final extra goal, number 5, to read a book in Tagalog. If you didn't know, I am Filipino. And growing up, my mum did not speak Tagalog that much around us at home. So I do know some words that were just used randomly, but I cannot speak it fluently. And now that I'm a mum, I would like to try and incorporate that into my son's learning. We have started learning a little bit together, or I'm like relearning and he is learning for the first time. Very basic things like counting and just basic phrases. But recently we were at the library, and usually when we get to the library, I say to him like, okay, if you want me to read you some books, go and pick some out. And then that's usually when I'm picking up my reservation. So once I come back, he's got like a stack of books to read. The other day we were there and he shows me his stack of books, and one of the books, it was like, I don't know, I guess it's intended for like people who are either like Tagalog speakers learning English or vice versa, English learning Tagalog. It was like a kid's book, and it had both languages. Like I have never seen, like they had a couple of other ones that were Korean, English and Korean, and each page of the picture book had the English section and the Korean section, which I feel like Korean is probably a more commonly used language here than Tagalog, or maybe not. I don't know. Maybe there is a lot of people that speak that here, but it was just so bizarre that that is the book that he came and brought me, which he obviously didn't know that's what it was. So when I say read a book in Tagalog, I'm not trying to read an entire novel because I can't even speak Tagalog, but I feel like that book that I saw at the library would be a good start because I can obviously read the English translation to try and help me out if my Tagalog is suffering. It also had like this little electronic part on it where you could, I didn't try it out because we were in the library and I didn't know how loud it would be, but you can press it and it reads it to you. So if I am struggling, I feel like I can just do that and learn it from that. But that is my last like extra goal for the year. I don't usually make like subscriber count goals, so I'm not going to include that simply because it's like not really in my control, I guess. Although I guess the AdSense also isn't in my control, but that's like more in my control because I feel like if I post enough videos, I'll reach it regardless. But subscribers, like I can't force people to subscribe. So I don't know. Those are just my goals for 2025. But overall, my main goal is to just have a good reading year because I feel like last year I didn't have the best reading year. Not in terms of quantity, but just quality. I feel like I didn't find as many new all-time favorite books as I normally do within the year. So 2025, let's just hope and pray that I find so many new books that I love and want to shout about online. And hopefully I don't fall off the face of the internet and I keep posting, unlike last year. I'll do my best. Let me know what some of your goals are for the year, if we have any in common, or let me know what your Goodreads goal is set to, which I think they changed it so you can't even see people who you have friended, like you can't see other people's goals. So I don't know anyone's reading goals. So let me know what your reading goals are. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you in a new video that hopefully won't be too far away if I'm sticking to my goals. So I'll see you then.